US officials have issued statements recognizing the Armenian genocide. For example, the US House of Representatives has passed two resolutions.
We already pointed this out, yes.
Recognizing it. And the President Reagan in 1981, as you mentioned in your speech, has recognized it. So the issue is not a recognition. The issue is that diplomats and politicians, for political reasons, for expediency reasons, have shied away from calling a spade, telling the facts in the proper words, because they feel that Turkey is a strategic ally, NATO ally, that should be appeased.
Right.
And in my opinion, the more you appease a wrongdoer, the more he will continue doing his mistakes. And the sooner we put a stop, we can still be a NATO ally, but we don't have to go back and change history that happened 100 years ago. History is what it is, cannot be changed for any reason. Fortunately. And it's not up to any official or individual to change history. The facts are very clear, and the US recognition is on the record for many decades, and we need to just say it the way it is and move forward, because it's an open wound going on for 100 years. The more we avoid it, deny it, the more it will keep as an irritant in not only the Armenian nation, but the entire human civilization.
Agreed. Reina, what's your point of view, given that what I said about the Armenian genocide and my plea to President Trump?
Yes, well, I think it's a letter definitely worth hearing, and I hope that he hears it through, Dr. Sarkis, Dr. Khoury, because I think every bit of lobbying, cry out, demand, revendication when it comes to the recognition of the Armenian genocide is absolutely essential and necessary to reach that goal. And I think that probably an open letter to President Trump is the right thing to do, because in my opinion, he's most likely the one president that is most likely to actually have the courage and the boldness to pronounce the proper word to describe the Armenian genocide by uttering the word genocide, which is really key for the Armenian people, and to restore justice and to start the long path of reparation, restoring human dignity, and giving history its due, and writing history in its truthful, objective, realistic form, which has not been the case so far. And even though so many countries have recognized the Armenian genocide, like Germany, Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Cyprus, Spain, France, Greece, Italy, the Netherlands, England, Sweden, but still, and of course everybody knows that it's a genocide, but it's so important for the Armenians to hear it from the US government, because it's a worldwide authority. It's important to hear it from the Turks, because they are the perpetrators, and it's important to hear it from the power players in the world to get the actual recognition they deserve, to secure their basic human right, which is the right. Because when you deny that the genocide happened, you're denying the existence of the people who were victims of that genocide, and you're denying the memory of those who survived, the children, the second, third, fourth generation of these victims, and you're denying them their history, their memory, and their identity. And it's a form of annihilation, symbolically, of course, but also in reality. Otherwise, you wouldn't imagine the colossal amount of energy, of lobbying, of activism that has been invested in that file, in that topic, in that crucial matter, because it's important on every level.
Understood. Do you think this is a classic case where politics and political subversion, things that are so fundamentally wrong, that we cannot allow them to fester or to be copied by any other country. I'm going to give you a list of how, in fact, genocide and massacres of all types have been taking place. 1915, 1923, the Armenian Genocide. The Holocaust in 1933-45, 6 million people perished. I've been to Auschwitz. It made me really sick. I honestly felt sick, I mean physically sick. The Cambodian Khmer Rouge, 1.7 million people, that's in 1973. It seems that some parts of humanity will never learn the appropriate lessons. Rwanda, 100,000. This was a double genocide, Hutus against the Tutsis. Bosnia, 1991, ethnic cleansing by the Serbs against Bosnians. 100,000 dead. Darfur, 2003, incredibly continuing even after that. ISIS, 2004, 2017. They committed crimes that are just simply incredible. Drowning people, putting them on fire in what was it called, in some enclosure, metal enclosures, and so on and so forth. Myanmar today, 2017, deportation of Rohingya Muslims. I mean, this is taking place all the time. You know why? I believe why, because the governments that can make a difference in the universe, like the United States government, like Germany, like Russia, like China, they haven't taken the appropriate actions. The appropriate remedy will be that anybody who commits these kinds of crimes or these kinds of massacres will be punished by the international community. And I believe here the United Nations has a very important role. Do you agree?
Yes, absolutely. We have the International Court of Justice, otherwise known as World Court, that can deal with this type of crimes against humanity. And there have been cases where the International Criminal Court, ICC, has dealt with recent Serbian atrocities. And when a crime massive such as genocide goes unpunished, it's an encouragement for other leaders to learn the wrong lesson and then repeat it and do it again.
Of course.
And as you mentioned in your letter, Hitler learned a very wrong lesson.
Of course.
And when he saw that Armenian genocide had taken place beforehand, before the Holocaust, and the world did not react and did not take any action, he was encouraged to repeat it, and thinking that no one's going to punish him. His crime will be ignored as well.
And what is amazing about this, Harut, if I may say, it started around 1933, right? And continued all the way until the war ended. In other words, if the Allies did not prevail, God knows what would have happened. Entire generations would have disappeared. And now, the Jews deserved every single bit of the settlement of the compensation that they received. But how do you compensate a mother for losing a child? How do you compensate a father for looking at his son or his daughter and saying, this is my future? How do you compensate for that? That kind of compensation, I mean, we could say, okay, we stole some of the art, we stole some of your jewelry, we stole some of some of your treasures. So we're going to give you money. This is a settlement with Switzerland, for example, with the banks of Switzerland. But how do you really, really take care of the mothers and the fathers and the brothers and the sisters who just simply could not possibly be compensated? And if you were to compensate them, how do you estimate what the value of that loss is? So my point in here is, I would like right now, I think we've said enough about this issue, but I'd like right now for us to focus on 3 countries, Reina. One is Turkey, one is Israel, and one the United States. None of these countries has officially recognized the Armenian genocide. Now, can we talk first about Israel and Turkey, and then we could see how the Americans come into the picture. I would like to point out one thing that's very important. The first majority Muslim country that recognized the state of Israel was Turkey. And the relationship between Turkey and Israel are fully documentable. In fact, I have a list of them right here, which I will share with you. But since you are very late where you are, since it is very late where you are right now physically, could you tell us why people in general will opt, as a matter of psychoanalysis, if you will opt to ignore or to hide very ugly events, such as a genocide?
Well, of course, the immediate answer to that as a psychoanalyst would be the unsustainable guilt that comes with it and the consequences that you have to, the burden of confession is first very humiliating. Two, it carries so much guilt that is exorbitant and that is just unsustainable. That doesn't make a psychological, economical sense for the perpetrator to admit to. But if you put the psychoanalysis aside, what is going on here when it comes to Israel, Turkey, and the United States, I learned because I'm leading a lobbying group here in Lebanon to push for human rights and for the creation of a Ministry for Human Rights and all these matters. And you realize with experience that when you are in a meeting, in a basic meeting, and you're discussing, you're trying to get a point across, and you have people on the table, around the table, resisting, let's say, a decision or an opinion or an analysis that makes basic sense, humane sense, logical sense, and you have people that are objecting to it, you have to immediately understand and read between the lines that there are hidden agendas, political reasons, or financial reasons. So in the case of the United States, probably the reason for not acknowledging the Armenian genocide and naming it as such is as your guest was saying, is political and military reasons. America, the United States, they have military base in Turkey, so they have to preserve their interests. If they say the Armenian genocide is a genocide, Turkey always threatens to take, to close down these military bases and to stop being, the partner that Americans want them to be. That's for the United States. For Turkey, of course, admitting to the genocide is not only everything in terms of the humiliation of the Ottoman Empire, the whole, this sense of entitlement, of righteousness. There's a sense of megalomania in a way, and it's very humiliating in a way. It takes a lot of maturity and a lot of work and a lot of insight on oneself to be able to understand the courage as an opposite to the cowardice in saying I did something wrong. That's one, and that something is enormous because it's a bit complicated actually to hide 1.5 million cadavers in the closets. There's no room to hide all these dead people who that is the huge number of the Armenian genocide. So you might deny it all you want. It doesn't mean it's not there, and it doesn't mean it didn't happen. So for Turkey to admit to that, that's, you have all this complication. It's also the implication of this, of admitting, because when you admit to such a thing, then you get involved in all the legal and manifestations and the translation of all this in reparation, in compensation, in restoration of the lands that were taken from the Armenians. So what it drags with it, what this confession would drag with it, is completely unsustainable. And so you see, the right thing to do almost never, unfortunately, coincides with the right political thing to do.
Okay, let me interject if I may. The same argument were made to the French, that you should not recognize and therefore our relationship with you, we are a member of the EU. This is all the Turks have been saying that, right? You know what the French did? They said we're going to recognize officially the genocide of the Armenians. Little act of courage here could happen. When Bosnia was being bombarded, when Bosnians were being killed in the streets, okay,